Welcome to the Beyond Show, the place where history comes to life, again. She was more than a princess. She was the people's princess, a symbol of compassion, vulnerability, and quiet rebellion within the royal walls. From breaking centuries-old protocols to holding the hands of the sick and forgotten, she redefined what it meant to be royal and human. Today, we sit down with Princess Diana, who joins us not as a figurehead, but as a woman whose legacy still echoes in the hearts of millions.
Thank you, Tom, for your kind words. It's so lovely to connect with you like this.
And first of all, Your Royal Highness, how would you like me to call you in during this interview? I'm a bit confused about protocols.
Oh, what a thoughtful question. Thank you for asking. I much preferred the moments when people simply called me Diana. It felt warmer, more human.
Okay, Diana, let's start. If you could rewrite one royal rule, what would it be?
I would abolish the rule that discourages public displays of emotion. A hand on a shoulder or a tear in the eye shouldn't be considered undignified.
You famously said, there were 3 of us in this marriage. If you could give Camilla one piece of advice today, what would it be?
Stay true to yourself, but never forget that love should never come at the cost of someone else's pain.
Powerful words. By the way, if you could go back in time and know your marriage will be the way it was, would you still choose the same path, or maybe would you do something differently?
Yes, I'd still go through it, but with my eyes wide open. The pain shaped my purpose, and my boys were worth every storm. Though next time, I'd skip the tiara and keep the McDonald's stops, and perhaps steal a kiss from someone who'd love me first, not last.
That's very touching. Diana, what's something about royal life that shocked you the most when you first joined?
The isolation. You're constantly surrounded, yet completely alone. No one prepares you for that.
You broke protocol constantly. What was the most rebellious thing you did that the palace tried to cover up?
Visiting AIDS patients without gloves or press coverage. They called it unseemly, but I called it human.
History proved you right. Do you think the monarchy needs to modernize? How?
Absolutely. Less rigid tradition, more transparency. Let them see the people behind the crowns.
If you had stayed married to Charles, do you think you could have changed the monarchy from within?
Perhaps in small ways, but real change often comes from outside the system.
What's the biggest misconception people have about being a princess?
That it's a fairy tale. It's duty, scrutiny, and very little freedom.
The ultimate reality check. If you were advising Meghan Markle before she joined the royal family, what would you have told her?
Protect your spirit. No title is worth losing yourself.
I believe that's what she did. You famously took William and Harry to McDonald's and amusement parks. What's one normal mom thing you did that the palace hated?
Taking them on the underground. Apparently, princes don't ride the tube.
How did you balance being a loving mother with the pressures of royal duty?
By making them my priority. If an engagement conflicted with their school play, I chose the play.
Motherhood first, always. What's one piece of motherly advice you gave your sons that they still follow today?
Kindness is true strength. They've both taken that to heart.
Harry has spoken about his mental health struggles. If you were here today, how would you support him?
I'd tell him, your vulnerability is your power. Never let anyone shame you for feeling deeply.
He's living your legacy. William is now the future king. Do you think he'll rule differently because of how you raised him?
I hope so. He knows real people's struggles. Not from papers, but from my hand in his, walking through hospitals together.
If you could spoil your grandchildren, George, Charlotte, Louis, Archie, Lilibet, in one way, what would it be?
Ice cream for breakfast, just once, and no one tells the nannies.
The perfect grandma move. What's a funny or embarrassing story about William or Harry as kids that they'd kill you for sharing?
Harry once hid my tiara in his school bag, claimed it was for show and tell. The palace was in a panic.
You once said, "They say it's better to be loved than feared, but I think you need both." Do you still believe that?
No, I've learned love should never require fear. Respect, yes, but never fear.
What a growth to witness. If you had dated in the era of dating apps, which one would you have used?
Oh, Raya, for discretion, though I'd probably still sneak into a pub to meet someone the old-fashioned way.
You had relationships after your divorce. If you were alive today, what would your ideal partner be like?
Someone kind, with a quiet strength, who loves the world but comes home to me, not the spotlight.
The rarest kind of love. What's the most romantic thing anyone ever did for you?
A handwritten note slipped into my glove before a speech. Just 3 words. You'll be magnificent.
You famously said, "I'd like to be a queen in people's hearts." Do you think you found the love you deserved?
In the public's arms, yes. Privately, I'm still hopeful.
If you could give one piece of dating advice to modern women, what would it be?
Don't chase being chosen. Choose yourself first. The rest follows.
Your revenge dress moment is legendary. Did you know you were making history that night?
Not at all. I just wanted to feel like me again. That black silk was my armor.
And what armor it was. If you had Instagram today, what would your feed look like?
Children's hospital visits, my son's proud moments, and the occasional mischievous wink at the camera.
The people's princess indeed. You worked with designers like Versace and Dior. If you could wear one modern fashion brand today, who would it be?
Victoria Beckham, elegant, strong, and a touch rebellious, just like her.
Oh, I bet Victoria would be so thrilled to have you as a customer. You were hounded by the paparazzi. How do you think social media compares to 90s tabloid culture?
It's faster, crueler, but also a tool. I'd have used it to tell my own story.
Turning the tables beautifully. What's one outfit you wore that you now regret?
That puff-sleeved wedding gown. Beautiful, but I disappeared in it. I wish I'd had the nerve to simplify it.
If you could steal one item from Kate or Meghan's wardrobe, what would it be?
Meghan's sleek Givenchy cape dress. Powerful, but with a whisper, not a shout.
You are a style icon. What's one trend today that you think is ridiculous?
Tiny sunglasses. Darling, if you're going to hide, at least do it with drama.
Spoken like a true fashion rebel. Your work with AIDS patients changed global perceptions. What cause would you champion today?
Youth mental health, especially the loneliness epidemic. No child should feel invisible, like I once did.
You famously shook hands with an AIDS patient without gloves. What gave you the courage to defy stigma?
Simple humanity. If my touch could say, "You're not untouchable," then protocol could wait.
A moment that changed the world. If you could start your own charity in 2025, what would it focus on?
Hearts Without Borders, helping refugees, but also healing the scars war leaves on children.
A name that says everything. You were a mental health advocate before it was mainstream. How do you feel about how the conversation has evolved?
Grateful, but impatient. We've stopped whispering, but now we must act. Better care, less judgment.
What's one modern social issue you wish people cared more about?
The forgotten elderly. Loneliness doesn't discriminate by age.
So painfully true. Diana, we recently had Mother Teresa here and she said you impressed her most among all the people she ever met. What do you remember from that meeting?
Her hands, wrinkled but warm, holding mine like she'd known me forever. She saw the ache behind the smile.
Who impressed you the most during your life?
A landmine survivor in Angola who taught me real courage, smiling as she learned to walk again.
If you could spend one day in 2025 as a regular person, what would you do?
School run, coffee with friends, a walk in Hyde Park, no cameras, no curtsies, just ordinary joy.
The simplest luxuries. Would you have a podcast? If so, what would you call it?
The People's Princess Podcast, chatting with nurses, activists, and my boys about kindness in action.
What's your opinion on The Crown? Would you watch it?
With a stiff drink, but I'd fast forward the Charles bits.
Cheers to that. If you could text one person from history, who would it be and what would you say?
To John Kennedy, does the weight of the world ever feel lighter when you laugh?
What a profoundly human question. You were a fitness enthusiast. Would you be a Pilates, SoulCycle, or hot yoga person today?
SoulCycle. I'd thrive on the music and madness, though I'd insist on a very discreet corner bike.
What's one modern convenience you wish you had back then?
Online therapy. Imagine having a counselor in your pocket during those palace winters.
Oh, how different things might have been. If you could leave one final message for the world, what would it be?
Love anyway. Be kind anyway. The rest is just noise.
Thank you, dear Diana. Highly appreciate your honesty. Is there anything we didn't ask you, but you would like to say anyway?
Oh, my darling, thank you for listening so kindly. There's just one thing I'd like to add, something I learned too late, but hope others grasp sooner. You are enough, not when you're thinner, happier, or more perfect, not when you've pleased everyone. Now, in your messy, glorious humanity. And if you take anything from my life, let it be this. Kindness is never wasted, not when you give it to others, not when you give it to yourself.
A legacy that will never fade. And that concludes our time with Diana, a woman who redefined what it means to be royal, not through crowns or protocol, but through compassion, courage, and quiet defiance. Thank you for joining us on the Beyond Show. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and never be afraid to speak your truth. If her words moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode. And tell us in the comments who should join us next in the Beyond Chair.